How close are you to being ready?
Nice! All right, I'm ready.
Welcome to A4NB4Y, the Zelda theme podcast that's currently deep diving Zelda A Link to the Past. In our last episode, we ran through Misery Mire, and on this episode, we're going into Turtle Rock. I'm Cameron Hagee, a half-redden book, and these are my co-hosts.
My name is Tony.
Ryan Fonzie.
Oh,
Are you serious, bro?
we just destroyed that.
The Clash.
We clashed right into it.
My name is Ryan Fonzie, and I'm the bookmark you lost.
I've been looking for you.
My name is Tony Anthony D. Giggles, and I am a Bernie Bot bean flavor that you do not want.
There's a few of those, actually.
Like half of the list was ones you didn't want.
Yeah.
Y'all remember black pepper jelly beans?
How about grass?
Grass was
Grass
one
wasn't
as
bad.
well. Grass had the texture of grass. That was the weirdest part about that. Like you tasted like you were eating lawn clippings. It was messed up.
I went to Universal and they got the Bernie Bots beans, but they got new flavors now. You can buy the classic or the new ones, and let me tell you, they got more creative. It's not good. Bernie, I won't spoil it.
Are the new ones good?
More creative.
There's some good ones and there's some real bad ones. I don't want to spoil it for like anyone who's like, oh, I want to be surprised, who might be listening to this. But you know, there's some real bad ones.
I only remember like a couple out of the old set that were bad, but I specifically remember earwax, boogers, and vomit.
Soap was pretty bad.
Soap? Oh, I don't remember that one.
Tasted like straight up shower shampoo.
Unless it's like bicycle tire. I don't know how they would have made it worse.
Brick.
They have a sulfur flavor.
Oh, all right.
Those fiends.
That's the example you get.
Okay. Yeah, don't need that in my life. No, thank you. All right, so we're heading to that Turtle Rock. But okay, before we get to Turtle Rock, though, I know I do this every episode lately.
Before we go,
Groose update.
Did you? Wow.
call
Rome
back.
update.
We're gonna have Rome. Maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't think
back
so.
in the manga, he's back. I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah, okay.
It's all good. But no. Aside from that, did you guys do the bomb shop?
So I did do both things because I remember the end of last episode. You were like, "There's some things that you should do before we get to Turtle Rock, but I don't know if I should talk about them." And I was like, "All right." So I did them.
Yeah. So we can go. If you go to the bomb shop, where we get it, we had the tip that, they had something for sale. They have the super bomb, right? Like the big old honking bomb. And it's basically a little mini game. If you remember when we first got into the Dark World, going to the Pyramid of Power, or any other time after, if you've ever been back to the Pyramid of Power, you can see that there is a cracked wall alongside the side of the pyramid, like on your way down. You can like kind of drop down into that area, but you can't destroy this cracked wall by normal means. Like you can't dash into it, you can't bomb it. It is a bombable wall, but only if you have this super bomb. The catch with this new bomb is that if you try to do anything like use any items, it will straight up just like stop following you and start a countdown.
I got exploded.
Yeah. I think
I tried to use the Pegasus shoes.
Yeah, you can still swing your sword, but if you try to use Pegasus shoes, you'll definitely leave it behind. I don't know if it's the same for you guys, but in my game, I was able to pick the bomb back up if I got back to it within the 3-second countdown.
Oh, I didn't try that.
And keep it from exploding, which was nice. I did that one. I definitely like messed it up once because I jumped off a ledge and it stayed up on the top ledge. And I was like, oh, I guess I can't do that either. So then I had to go back around, get a new bomb, and then, go down the ramp the right way because bombs don't like ledges, apparently.
Yeah, I don't think you can Pegasus boots either.
Yeah.
No, I tried, and yeah, I got exploded. I got like stuck between some plants and got boomed right by Link's house.
Yeah. So in essence, what we do is we take this thing and we run it all the way back. I avoided enemies for the most part. Some I fought off, but I think enemies can kind of mess up the bomb as well. So I was trying to be real careful about that. Get it back to this wall on the Pyramid of Power, blow it open, and it is the cursed fairy fountain. And the curse that has been put on this fairy is...
I mean, she's one of the cuter fairies,
Okay. Interesting comment. She's been kind of like which one was it? The Chamber of Secrets in Harry Potter, where Harry kind of blows up his aunt.
Mm-hmm.
Ganondorf has cursed this fairy to not have a fairy-like figure anymore. At least that's how she explains it to us. It's it's really kind of odd that this would be the thing. She's not even like that different, but at the same time, like it was supposed to be a visual gag, and it's like early 90s game.
It was the 90s,
Yeah, it is messed up. But
the era of Jazzercise.
Jazzercise.
But she's still just as powerful as any other great fairy. And kind of does the same move as the magic well, I guess. The one where you throw your items in and she'll come out and be like, did you drop this? And you can say, yes, I did, because you did. You threw it in there, and there's a few things that she'll upgrade for us. The key item that she does is that if you throw in your bow, she'll give you silver arrows. And these are supposed to be necessary to beat the game. There's like a specific mechanic towards the end of the game where you need them. But we don't know that yet because we're not even at that dungeon. But there'll be a tip later that'll tell us that we need these arrows, and it's a whole thing. So getting them early only helps because most enemies die in one shot to these things. The other thing we can do is throw in our upgraded sword to get it to be the next level up. Goes in red, comes out golden.
Most powerful master sword ever.
Yeah, and it's 4 times as powerful as your base master sword. So pretty good.
Or is it even a master sword at this point? I mean, have you seen it? Like the true rendition of it?
It's it's definitely different. I know the whole blade looks gold. I mean,
it's all gold. It's got a green hilt and handle.
It's the ultimate weapon.
No wings or anything like that.
Yeah, it's beast mode.
Yeah.
The other thing that you can do with this fairy fountain is if same trick as in the light world, if you throw in an empty bottle, she will give you a bottle of green potion. But that's almost not even worth mentioning compared to the other services she has provided. So yeah, like this is something that the game will eventually like force you into, but doing it now it gives you more time to play with the big boy weapons. So I like doing it now. I like doing it a little early.
For show.
So then we can make our way back up Dark World Death Mountain to find Turtle Rock. And it looks like a turtle.
It does look like a turtle.
Yeah, it took me a while just to figure out how to get up there.
Yeah, you have options if I remember right. Like there's a bridge you can cross over to get there.
That's where I went.
There's like an underground path that will get you up there as well.
Because I remember from the beginning of the game not being able to cross that. So it kind of intrigued my interest, and I was like, well, nothing ventured, nothing gained. So I went that way.
That's a bridge with the posts on the other side. You got to hit with the hammer, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's how I got there.
Yeah, I think if you go up, like there's one way in the light world where you can hook shot across. And then there's a separate bridge even higher up where if you go by Ganon's tower, you can find the like pegs that knock down and kind of go that way. And then I'm trying to remember how this all plays out. I think the last one is there's an underground path that is like to the east of where the old man is. And you can kind of get up the mountain and get there that way too. I don't know if these are actually separate. I don't know if two of these are linked or not, but I'm pretty sure there's a loop around the mountain that you can get there at least two different ways. But the thing is about this one is that the challenge isn't getting there. The challenge is once you get inside. I mean, some of these dungeons have been like a great mystery as to how to get into it and all that. Like this one, I've kind of always felt like the inside of this, like the getting there this time was kind of up to you. Getting once you're inside, like then all the real challenges begin. It's like the real test of this game.
Before we talk too much into the dungeon, I think the director or whoever was responsible for level design for this dungeon, dungeon number 7, they must have woke up in the morning with a Mario Nintendo fever dream like Mushroom Kingdom, because this is 100% Mushroom Kingdom themed.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the dude woke up, was like, Mario! And like just went to work designing this dungeon because there's so many references in here about Mario.
It's not like there's chain chomps or anything.
No. Or question mark blocks. None of that. Or pipes.
No swinging bars of flames.
No.
Like,
No platforms from Super Mario World or cactuses from Super Mario Land 2 or 3. None of that.
We for sure don't shoot fireballs at all in this dungeon.
No.
I think the only non-Mario thing here was like eye lasers, but that's about it.
Well, yeah. but it made for a pretty interesting dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta say, the first time I ever came, like the first time I played this game, not this run, but the first time I ever did, I walked into the entrance. You go and you need to use a medallion to open up the door again. Not the same one. I think it's the
Quake.
The Quake medallion. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I get inside, and there's a little like square with a question mark.
Not a clue.
And I had no idea what I was supposed to do with that.
I was like, I used every item until I found the one at the bottom. My item list that worked.
I used what I thought was every item, but didn't use the one I needed. So I had to look it up eventually, and I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Mm-hmm.
Because in my head, I'm like, I know what this item does. It makes blocks. It's the Cane of Samaria. I just got it, and it's useless. And so I saw this question mark, and I'm like, it did not occur to me that putting a block on it would do anything. But apparently the cane has 2 functions, and one of them is exclusive to this place. And that second function is that it can make platforms.
Yeah.
The only, I think indication you could even maybe consider is that the question mark block and the cane have a similar shape.
Yeah.
That's it.
The question mark does look like the cane a little bit. I didn't notice that until after, looking.
I think it's supposed to be a cane, but all I see is Mario question mark block.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
No, I've played this before. I knew where I was going as soon as I walked in here, so I kind of sped run this. Just before we started recording, it took me about 1 hour to beat the dungeon, mostly.
I gotcha. So this was the first thing. There was one other thing I had to look up the first time I ever played it. This time around, I got stuck on something that I didn't need to look up the answer to, but did feel really dumb after figuring it out.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is the first, I guess, example we get of making a platform to ride on. And the first good portion of this dungeon, I mean, honestly, it carries through the whole dungeon, but the first few rooms are going to rely super heavily on this mechanic. The second room we get into is just a series of doors that are all connected by this same rail system. But if we want to get the map and our first small key, like there's a torch lighting puzzle that relies on the rail system. A lot of this riding blocks around, riding the platform around. Likewise with the compass and everything too.
It's super fun though.
Yeah.
Woo.
Actually, this dungeon, compared to the last dungeon, which was just boring as beyond belief, and the Ice Palace, which was harsh and rude, I enjoyed this dungeon. I think it was fun. This is the best time I had a dungeon since the Forest Temple. Or Skull Rock, whatever.
Yeah. So yeah, the second thing I ever needed to look up, right? Because it's actually pretty early on. There's a room with 2 chain chomps.
Yeah.
I died. Well, I lost a fairy.
And some blocks.
Yeah.
There's like color switches to kind of switch over the blue to the red and everything. And I did not realize that this room was asymmetrical. Like there was one block that just needed to kind of be pushed. And truth be told, like after spending some time in this room and like, leaving every once in a while, coming back because I wasn't figuring it out, I realized what was happening is in my version of this game, if you go up to a block and you press A and try to push, it does not work. You need to just push the block without pressing any other buttons.
Yeah. If you grab it, you can't push.
And I did not know that. I did not realize. I don't know why I pushed so many blocks throughout the game and did not realize that it only worked when you weren't pressing other buttons. But when I actually figured out, like, I needed to push this block, like somebody on my stream was like, oh yeah, you push that block. And I was like, I already tried that several times. And so then I tried it and didn't press the button and it moved. And I just, I had to like walk away from the game for a second because it was just that level of frustration. I was like, you gotta be kidding me right now.
I looked it up.
Oh no.
Yeah.
The chain chomps take like 4 or 5 hearts from you every time they hit you. And there was no subtle hints or anything that block in the corner, you could move it. There was nothing. So I was sitting in that room, thought you had to kill the chain chomps, move their blocks, and I was frustrated, so I just looked it up, and of course, there was a block.
I walk into a room in these Zelda games, and my mind is immediately like, what's the thing I gotta pull? What do I gotta do? What's the thing in this room? And so when I looked at the room, I saw there was only one block on each side that was ever movable, because the other ones were in a block of 4, so you could never push any of them. And the other 2 had the chain chomps connected. I'm like, there's 2 that could be moved, though. And knowing that this is Zelda, I went and I moved both of them, and one popped the chest up, and I was like, yeah, I knew it. That's that part. See, that's where I got that from, where I go into a room and I have to check everything. It's because of stuff like that back when I was a kid. Probably wasted so much time.
Yeah, and one thing that I've kind of learned over the past couple months, especially with 2D Zelda games, if something is asymmetrical, good chance that you need to interact with it. It happened, like I was playing Minish Cap early on this year, and there was a room just like this with a set of blocks, and you just needed to move one to make everything match left and right. And it took me a long time to figure that one out too, just because it did not occur to me that they weren't even lined up right. It's just stuff like that. So now I'm like kind of getting to that mindset of like, if I go into a room and the blocks don't mirror each other, odds are I gotta make them do so. It's kind of like finding Koroks in Breath of the Wild. Like look for the one thing out of place, put it back in place.
Yeah, exactly. I know. It feels like almost like pulling off a Band-Aid when I find something in a room that's like the thing. I'm like, haha, that was the thing. But it feels weird when you go into a room and there's nothing in it, or you have to come back later with an item, because I end up walking out with like shifty eyes looking back like, I'm onto your room. I know there's something in here. I guess I'll have to come back later.
Yeah.
That's the worst feelings when I can't find something in a room, because I'm like, oh no, I missed it.
Yeah. So that the chain chomp room is just the end of the first section. Then there's like another 3, maybe, I want to say 3 sections in this game, or in this palace here. This turtle rock of ours.
This rock of a turtle.
This rock of a turtle. So the second section is Too Bland.
Too Bland.
It's Bowser's Castle over lava.
Yeah, we're over lava and everything.
It's true. So We go into this room that's basically a bunch of trenches that are, you can see the tubes overhead at first until we find, the opposite corner. And this is just the intro to tubes. Takes us over to the lava room, and everything gets more complicated. This one, nothing too crazy, just, some rooms we have to fight our way through. I got stuck again partway through this section. Pretty much, I got the big key, got down, there's a shield, which is our item for this dungeon.
Yeah.
It's like a golden shield to match our golden sword if you have the golden sword already, which, I did.
Mm-hmm.
So the enemies weren't really giving me much problems. It was the fact that the next room after the golden shield, there's a locked door. And in my head, I came into this room and looked at that door and said, I need a small key. And looked at my inventory and was like, well, I don't have any small keys left. I guess I got to go look for a small key. Uh-oh. So I left and searched high and low back to the first section, all around the second section. I paced this dungeon for maybe 20 minutes before realizing and just going through the door and looking at it and being like, wait a minute, that's not a small key. That's a boss key door. All I needed was the big key that I literally just got. And then I walked through it and made it through the rest of the dungeon in like 5 minutes. It was so dumb, but I got stuck on my second playthrough because I misread the door.
That was, for a different reason, that was the same part that I kind of lost time in playing through here just a little while ago, because I got the big key and then I forgot that there was a door there that I had to use to get to a pipe to get to the top corner of that other room to keep going, until I followed that pipe. I'm like, I know I need to go up there. So I followed it all the way down. I'm like, so I have to get into that room. I opened my map. I'm like, the only way to get into that room is by going over here. And then I went back over there. And that's where I'm like, oh, I remember seeing this door, and then I forgot about it. And then that's where I picked back up and finished pretty quickly from there.
One of the other things about this is there's a way to go outside in this area too. So you can leave the dungeon and come back in. There's a little ledge that you can go on out there. And it does lead you to maybe one extra cave if you want to drop off the ledge that it puts you on. You can, by use of the magic mirror and whatnot, you can find yourself like a heart piece or something. Like there's some goodie outside. But it's not the way forward. And I definitely tried that as well. Like going outside and figuring out that whole deal. So I ended up doing some side quests in the middle of this dungeon, trying to figure out where my small key was. And there was no such thing. So, fun times.
I did not jump down there because I just wanted to get the dungeon finished.
I gotcha. So we get through here. There's a few other small puzzles, nothing too crazy, until we get to what I would call section 3, which is another wild and crazy platform room.
If that was Shadowland, forget that room.
Darkness and fireballs, they ate my fairies.
That was fun time.
Bunch of swinging flames, and the trick was to get to a middle platform and put down a block and then ride your way to freedom. But there were so many other little things that you could check out. None of it necessary, I will say. And all of it dangerous because of all the swinging flames. So many times where the platform would just ride me right through the flames. And I was like, I guess this is just, I guess I'll die, You can't really control your speed at that point. You can just kind of turn away before you get there to try to affect the timing. Mm-hmm. I remember the first time playing the game having to try this so many times where I actually got pretty good at that. This time, I did not get good at it. I was just taking damage, but I knew generally what I had to do, so it did go by a little faster anyway.
Did you have to drop a block on it, though? Because I just ran over the switch and hit it once, and then I think I got what I needed.
You know what? Yeah, because you're riding a block, aren't you? You can only have one block, I think. Yeah, so we didn't have to actually drop a block. You just had to get to the switch. You're right.
You got to pick up the skull. It's like, oh, this is why I had to come up here. I'm like, why do I have to go over to this random skull? What's it even going to do for me? Because I hadn't gone down and seen the door that I assumed that I opened after I hit the switch, because I never actually saw it closed.
Yeah.
I'm like, that makes sense.
It's an interesting puzzle. I mean, it's like instantly solvable if you already know the layout. Like I'm looking at the map right now and I'm like, wow, it's like 2 turns to get to the switch and then, yeah, not much more to get out. So I don't know. It's fine.
It is pretty complex to look at if you don't know what you're doing.
Right.
It might take a sec to get on the right path to get to the right spot.
Yeah, true that. But yeah, once we get through there, we get ourselves a little gauntlet to run. Pretty sure there's a Helmosaur on a bridge that just wants to knock you off and kill you.
Yup.
And then there's the Indiana Jones room of death where...
I got real disappointed in that because the description of the mirror shield said it reflects lasers.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, yeah. So like when you hold the charge for the family secret technique, you actually hold your shield sideways so you can walk that way and block the lasers. And I was expecting I don't know what I was expecting out of a 90s game. I was like, reflects the lasers, hits the eye, and the eye's like, and just blows up and dies. No, it just absorbs the shield. I'm like, or it goes into the shield. I was like, cool, awesome.
Yeah. It just absorbs so much, you go up to Ganon and just launch this beam cannon at him.
You charged it all up into the rock. This annihilates him.
Yeah, this room with the treasure chests and the eye lasers always kills me. Always. Like at least once, I just die in this room. Because I go to the, you go to the treasure chest, you can kind of block all the lasers on the way in. You go and open it up, and it's usually just rupees. Three out of 4 of these chests are just rupees. And then on my way out, I get shot in the back. And then by the time I get to the small key, I've lost too much health, and I ended up dying.
Oh, man, you got to use the secret family technique.
It just where you just hold your shield one way by charging up.
Yeah.
Don't you do a spin attack when you get hit, though? Like if you get shot?
Well, no, but you reflect it with the shield.
Right, but then you got to charge up again, right?
Well, yeah, but you just charge up and then face the other way so that you hold it for the lasers.
That's complicated.
Yeah, I did what Fonz did and just got hit every time and used a fairy by the end of it.
Yeah.
Felt really bad because I was already at 999 rupees, so just taking free damage.
Right. That's pretty much how it goes. It's like, oh, I didn't need that. Okay, I guess I'll take my lumps. And then, I mean, it's like a resource management. How much health do I have? Okay, if I factor in the fairies, looks like I'm wealthy enough to make it through here.
Yeah.
But we get our key, and we end up in probably what is one of the most fun rooms, I want to say. It's like the ultimate color switch room where you just kind of go grid piece by hitting some colored switches and making your way through. I always have some fun in this room. There's some anti-fairies you can convert. There's some Helmosaurs that are just, stuck in boxes and you can bomb them out before you open up their box. And that pretty much takes us right to the boss, I think.
Yeah, there's a couple skulls after that room, one with a big magic container, one with a heart, and then right into the boss.
There is an epic kind of just...
Yeah.
Over a chasm, you're on a ride, little platform, and there's a bunch of torches, and it's kind of leading you up to the boss. It was a cool little touch. Not many of the dungeons in this game did that.
It made me think of Elite Four music from Pokemon.
Yeah.
You guys remember in Skyward Sword where we were in that minecart and it was just a bunch of stained glass and nothing to do except for ride the minecart?
Yeah, it was like that.
It's kind of like that, yeah. A little less epic, but, still pretty good. So this is probably one of the most interesting bosses we've come across yet. One that I would argue actually is meant for combat. And this is Trinex.
Yep.
Trinex is a beast. Specifically a turtle dragon beast with 3 heads.
Try necks, because he's got 3 necks.
Exactly. He knows how to use them.
Yeah, he does.
The one on the left is fire. The one on the right is ice. And Link's left and right, not Trinex's left and right.
The one in the middle is rock.
Yeah, one in the middle is kind of like the actual head. And it's pretty beast mode. It's kind of a cool just little color puzzle because, if you think, okay, I'm just going to use the opposite of what the head is, I'm going to, for the fire one, I'm going to fight it with ice. For the ice one, I'm going to fight it with fire. And you're on the right track if you're thinking that, because that's how you do it. It's kind of a little wisdom check at the same time, it.
So Remember the callback? Like,
Yeah.
I did the episode with the 3 different colored enemies and why. This is the last boss of the game that's, well, spoilers, not Ganon.
I was
And-
going to bring this up.
Oh, you were?
Yeah, this was the
Oh.
thing I said like 2 or 3 episodes ago that I had for this dungeon.
Oh,
Is
by all
exactly what
means,
you're saying.
Take it away.
Well, you're saying the same thing, yeah. Is that this guy has the red and the blue, which is the later stages of the green, blue, red cycle, which represents power and wisdom, which you've gained throughout the journey of the game, and they've left the green behind because you're not a novice, you're not green anymore. Just the later stages left. Yeah.
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 So I want to talk about bosses in general for a second, because we've talked about the color scheming. We talked about, we've gone through this game now one by one, taking on these bosses. And I know that we haven't even really talked about defeating Trinex overall yet, but just kind of run through this because I went back and I looked at the chakras again, because you know how we figured out that Sahasra Ra or Sahasra La was supposed to be a play on the word Sahasra Ra.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of led us into the chakra stuff.
He was like the
And
wisdom
so-
chakra, right? Or the
Well,
head
he's
something?
the crown chakra, like the
Okay,
one
yeah.
that would be related to that for sure. And so I was like, you know what? There's 7 chakras, there's 7 dungeons. Like, let's see if there's anything here. And I started lining them up, and I had the idea that, like, at first I was thinking, well, maybe the third eye chakra, because it's like, intuition, like maybe that's where blind would be, because like you had to kind of intuitively figure out that, he wasn't actually a maiden, that, like basically see through his disguise. But it kind of ended up leading me to a wall. And then I just thought, well, maybe it's just lined up bottom to top exactly how you would kind of suspect. Like maybe we just start at, the base, the root chakra, and we work our way towards the crown chakra, which would be like, your enlightenment final stage type deal. So I put them all together and just kind of like went through one by one and just to see if you could make the argument for these things. And what I found was that you kind of can. It's something where I would say like the kind of the reasoning isn't like what the boss itself represents, but what Link has to do to defeat it, like what he has to grow in specifically. So just as an example, like the root chakra, which is like, your stability, your grounding, your survival, like that would have been linked to Helmasaur, right? Because you use a mallet, like you got to be like pretty stable to like swing that thing and make that happen. Like it's basically just a strength power move of like, I don't know, like it to me, like that whole theme kind of matched up with grounding and stability. Like that seemed accurate enough. Like that's something that Link could grow in to get the power to defeat Helmasaur. The next one is the sacral chakra, which is a little bit of a stretch, but it would have been lined up with Argus. And
Wait, are we
Argus
starting with the Dark World? Because
well, I'm starting with the Dark World. I'll go back to the original 3 in just a second. So starting with, just going through because the chakras are just kind of what I'm trying to figure out. But with Argus, he kind of looks like a brain. So in my head, I'm like, well, maybe it's supposed to be like a nerve ending kind of thing, and that's why it would be lined up with the sacral chakra. But one of the things that's under here is creativity. Like you get the hook shot, and I mean, listen, before this game, we ain't never seen a hook shot.
yeah,
So that was a new item that we had to, like, instead of using to pull ourselves towards something, like we were using to kind of grapple pieces off of a boss. It does seem like Link would have grown in creativity to figure that one out. So I think that theme works, like somewhere between the neuron theme of the boss itself and Link kind of using this new item in a creative way, kind of all played into that just fine. The next one was the solar plexus, which is like strength, ego power, self-esteem. And this would have been Mothula. So that one was a little bit harder to...
he sure lowered my self-esteem.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, like, you had to grow in your self-esteem to defeat him, right? To me, this kind of spoke to being sure in your step, because there were so many obstacles in that place, like with the conveyor belts and the spike traps growing.
Like, can I really do this?
Well, can I really do that? Am I confident about where I'm even walking, kind of growing in that? just going in there and being like, okay, there's a lot going on, but I got this. I can just maneuver around everything and make this happen. Having that self-esteem, that assuredness about it. The most interesting one to me is this next one. It's just the heart chakra. And this would have been against blind. And the reason it's interesting is because the way that we actually discover that the way that we figure blind out is by being compassionate. Like, we find the maiden, and not only do we try to help her get out of the temple, but we try to help her get out of the temple in a way that she wants. Like, she's like, no, I don't want to go out the main door. Like, can we find another way? And Link's like, you know what? Yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll go another way. And you ended up taking her into the light. And then it was like, surprise, not actually a maiden. It's been blind the whole time. And then he attacks and you end up doing this fight. But the way you figure that all out, I mean, thematically, is by trying to help somebody out. Like, is by trying to have that compassion and that kindness. So that was kind of a cool thing that I just lined up with that. The throat chakra is next, and that's with cold stare. And the thing that kind of stands out to me with this is that purification is a part of the throat chakra. And the first thing that we do with this guy is I melted the ice. I know you can also smash the ice, but basically you kind of tear away the defenses to kind of get into there and do that. So that was the only main connection I could think of with that. Like, you kind of get the fire rod and purify that whole ice temple.
Yeah, I have a chakra thing pulled up too, and one of the descriptions of throat chakra is shyness, and you can kind of say he's hiding behind the ice, and you have to bring him out of that, maybe withdrawn. That's all I could think of too.
Yeah, no, that could be it. Because I mean, I imagine shyness would be kind of one of the things that this chakra you would work on to get past that, right? Because I mean, it's the communication.
Yeah, and it also says it represents the ability to speak, and you said communication.
Yeah,
if you want to stretch it to the what is it, the comic or the manga, I think he's the only boss who speaks to Link. Yeah,
he was the only one who actually had a conversation and taught him, and inadvertently, but taught him where the Turtle Rock was. So yeah, you put it that far. He actually gave him information too and everything. So yeah, so that's lining up as well. And then this one's on the nose, way too hard. This third eye chakra would have been vitreous. I don't even think that I need to explain that. It's
nah, you good.
Yeah, no, many eyes. So then this one, this Trinex would be our crown chakra challenge. And basically the crown chakra is kind of like the end of this whole path, right? It's fulfillment, self-realization, knowledge, spirituality. This is kind of the finish line in a sense. Both, in terms of this, this is once you have your other chakras lined up is how you get to this point. And for Link, once he's gone through all these challenges, he's ready to take on Trinex, who is thematically a combination of everything that Link has learned, which I thought was really cool. The way that kind of all goes together. Now, if we were to go back to the first three, I do not believe that they are based on chakras. I think it's more of just a Triforce thing again. It's, power, wisdom, and courage. Exactly as you'd expect. Yeah. Each stone lines up with its respective guy. So the Armos Knights being courage. I mean, they're these big hulking rock soldiers that are, each one is 4 times the size of Link, and they kind of gang up on him, So he's using courage to take that on. He has to grow, and just what that feels like is one versus many is one of the scariest things, I think, in terms of social situations and things like that even. But I mean, this was combat, so even worse. Yeah. But, Link stands up to 7 Armos Knights. And then Lanmola being power, I mean, makes sense to me. I mean, it's giant worms that come out of the ground.
Yeah, to overpower them to fight them.
Yeah. I mean, that's power is not a hard theme to hit as long as the thing that you're fighting is powerful in its own right. It makes sense. Moldorm,
as long as you're just fighting in general, you can always make an argument for power in some way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Moldorm being wisdom, I thought, is kind of funny actually, because usually if you don't go in there with the wisdom of how to beat him already, he'll knock you off the edge. And instead of just losing, instead of dying, you get to like try again with the new knowledge that you've gained from that last attempt.
Yeah, you form a strategy.
Yeah, it's a very it's kind of a puzzle boss, especially that early on when you don't have that much power to fight him with. So like, I know for me, getting knocked off a bunch of times and having to climb back up and be like, okay, how am I going to take this on this time? How am I going to use the terrain? How am I going to, combat? Like, can I catch a pattern? I remember figuring out patterns like that of his movement when we were doing that. So very, very on theme with wisdom. And then we have the bosses that are standout. It's funny, depending on what list you look at, some people include the ball and chain knight at the beginning as a boss. Don't know if I agree with that entirely, but I get it. That one I would just say is like a willingness to fight in the first place. Like you're just starting out on your journey. It's like do you accept this mission? Basically, is fighting that guy. The next one would be Aghanim. And I mean, that's just the first time Link really comes face to face with like the driving force of evil. Like he's literally taking these 3 pendants that he's earned and this new sword that he's gotten, and he's like, you know what? Like, this is evil's bane. Here we go. Like, let's really face this down. And after Trinix, you might guess that we're going to Ganon's Tower to try to take on Ganon. And so like we're kind of headed towards another one of those. We're kind of heading towards our ultimate goal of defeating evil. It's not necessarily that we're trying to grow in any specific thing anymore. We're trying to fulfill the purpose of this growth. So I don't know. Like I think that's kind of like the boss rundown of this game. And I thought it was kind of cool to see that there actually was some thematic reasoning to why things were the way they were.
Yeah, I agree with that.
This is something I did not expect to. I mean, like I remember when we found out about Sahasrara, the crown chakra and Sahasrara. I remember having the thought, like, I wonder if these dungeons do follow this. And as much as I would love to go through every dungeon map and try to figure out if they match their respective bosses, I didn't go that far. I just went as far as the bosses themselves, and I actually was able to kind of track a pattern. So I was pleased by that. Like, honestly, like I remember when we started this whole season, I was a little bit worried that this game was going to be so story light that there wouldn't be a whole lot. And I will say that so far there's been a lot more than I thought there was. And this game is actually a lot deeper than I expected.
You're mistaken.
I see you posted a 3-headed dragon into our private chat.
Yeah. So I was going to wait till the Shinomori comic about that, but I just thought it was cool. It's the illustration. It doesn't show it in the summary that we're reading, but that's the illustration of Trinix in the comic. It looks so cool.
Wow.
Because think about it. This came out in the late 80s, early 90s. That's a really cool illustration.
Oh, that is.
Yeah, I want that on a t-shirt.
Right?
I want that to fight Godzilla.
And I love how he starts, Grrrr. And then Link's face is priceless.
So fighting Trinix.
Didn't know how.
Yeah, I think we already mentioned how to fight him, but we didn't mention is his face too. So we can
phase
freeze
2 is
his
easy.
Fireside and smack
it.
Yep. I always start with the Fireside. I don't know why, just habit. Sometimes I regret that because the ice side normally gets to put down some ice.
Yeah.
By the time I get to him.
It's better to do ice side first because Fireside totally disappears. The ice is permanent.
Yeah. So if you don't like ice physics, go ice first. I always just like to destroy the fire. I don't know why. I don't know if it makes me just feel more confident about the rest of the fight because I'm not as afraid of ice in general.
That's all those color theories, Fonz. You see red.
Yeah.
You look at the blue and you're all like, nice and calm. That's what blue represents. You look at red, you're like,
it's like them fighting words. How dare you be that color?
Your color stereotyping.
Oh goodness! All right. Well, before we get in trouble, let's just say that you hit the red one with blue, you hit the blue one with red, and once you do that,
then he becomes a worm.
Then he becomes a worm. Yeah, he was a 3-headed turtle dragon monster, and now he's a 1-headed turtle snake monster, which looks a lot like a worm.
Which means you just killed 2 snakes.
Oh yeah, he's like a shuckle basically with 3 heads. And then he basically does this fly around the room, not quite like the Windows screensaver. Like he doesn't do the corner to corner type thing. He actually does cardinal directions more, which was interesting. But again, just kind of smack his middle section until he goes kaput. Pretty straightforward boss overall. You don't use the cane of anything. You don't have to. I mean, you could cane a Burna if you wanted to, but I don't think the situation even really called for that.
Yeah, I just didn't know what to do in the beginning, really. I saw the blue and the red, and it took me a fairy to realize what to do. And I finally figured it out, and it was a fun boss fight. Phase 2 was not hard. And then I looked up a tutorial, as I do with every boss, just to see the speedrunners and what they do to kind of get like, oh, if I ever play this game again, I know exactly what to do. So the fastest one I found, the dude Pegasus booted in behind him, like completely behind Trinex, did the fire rod behind him, killed the head before it even left the little rocket sitting in, ran over to the right side, took a heart from the tail, killed the ice one the same way. I don't think more than 3 seconds had passed. Once he started transforming, the 1,000 explosions of doom, transforms into the snake, he does the secret family technique twice. Just eliminates Trinex completely within 10 seconds.
Wow.
Yeah. I was like, I wish I knew that.
Did he even have the golden sword, or did he just have like...
No, he had the golden sword and mirror shield, but...
Nice. Okay.
It was still like, what the heck, man?
Wow. Maybe one day. I don't know how many times I'm ever going to play this game again. I mean, I do like it quite a bit, but I don't know if I'll ever train that hard to get to that point.
No. I think knowing the knowledge I know now, I could probably, from beginning to end, maybe beat this in like a week.
Yeah, no, it's not a super long game. Like, I think I spend maybe a half an hour on each dungeon when I'm streaming it. Like, it doesn't take super long.
Mm-hmm.
Once you know what you're doing, it goes by very fast.
Yeah, we finally beat it and free the last maiden, who's not really a maiden.
It happens to be Princess Zelda, the last of the 7.
Got him.
Exactly. So yeah. Do you want to read what this maiden says, or you want me to? I mean,
I got it right here.
What Zelda says. Okay.
All right. So Zelda says, once you hold, the crystal's floating in the air, looks a little bit like Nehru's love. She goes, I appreciate your coming so far to rescue me, as I thought you are the legendary hero. I have felt this from the first time we met. ... Ganon is waiting inside of his tower to pass through the gate linking the 2 worlds. Once Ganon enters the light world, it is unlikely that anyone can stop him. But if he stays in the closed space of this world, you can find him wherever he runs. Now go to the Tower of Ganon. We will use our combined powers to break the barrier. Let's return peace to the country, Link. Do you understand? And then if you say not at all, I'm pretty sure she goes through the whole thing again, but that's just made the way of the hero lead you to the Triforce or something.
Yeah, so no more lore, just another mission statement, it sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Zelda is rooting for us. She has now been saved, and kind of like Ocarina of Time, I guess. I mean, we just go to the castle, and the sages are going to open up a way for us.
So we can put some fudge on Ganon's ducks.
Okay, well, people who haven't been to our Mario Kart streams aren't going to understand that joke.
That's fine.
I mean, I thought it was funny, and I wasn't there.
Man, Ganon's ducks are going to have so much fudge.
It's going to be great.
All right, so that was Turtle Rock and the Link to the Past boss rundown.
The last dungeon.
So, do we want to hit up the Ichinomori manga?
I'm down.
Sorry, Ishinomori, not Ichinomori. My bad.
You have two more chapters left after this one.
We're not in the final. We're not even in Ganon's Tower yet, but there is a Turtle Rock and Zelda section here.
So I think we actually read, I think Cameron finished off where the notation for 100 and either between 152 and 154.
I think it was 154. It's right where we were.
Yes, right began to look for the dungeon's entrance, yep. Remembering the words Link heard in the ice tower, the young hero strikes the top of Turtle Rock with the Master Sword to allow a lightning bolt to hit it and thus reveal the entrance. Inside the lava-infested Turtle Rock, Link finds Zelda imprisoned in a crystal, but he is then attacked by a three-headed dragon. However, Rome, who had been following Link, arrives just in time to save the young hero from one of the dungeon or the dragon head's attacks, and prepares to prove himself as the legendary hero.
Total Groose move right there.
Groose check.
Rome update. All right. So, chapter 11, which is titled Ganon's Tower, but we are not going to get to Ganon's Tower yet. Rome and Link cut off the dragon's ice head, causing its ice and fire to mix and explode. The explosion shatters Zelda's crystal, and Link rushes to her side to save her, infuriating A4NB4Y. The four escape Turtle Rock as it collapses, and Rome boasts that the Book of Medora's prophecy supports him as the legendary hero, for he is the one seeking the silver arrow and leaves to find it. Zelda tells Link the book has a power which is beyond their comprehension, and Link remembers that Sahasrara said only a man who has overcome his own negative thoughts and emotions can become the true hero. Since Rome has not, Link fears that this might actually be his downfall, even if he finds the silver arrow. The young hero goes on to say that they should not worry about Rome, for Link will defeat Ganon by himself if he has to, leading Zelda to put all her trust in him.
Aww. So Link makes the Chad move while, Rome goes off.
It's kind of fun. Like who is the judge of Rome? Like who knows that Rome has not overcome his own negative emotions and thoughts?
Right.
Like, was it because he was boasting? Is that what they caught on to? They're like, oh, well, if he's boastful, like that's a negative emotion that's causing that.
His own negative thoughts and emotions. The only thing I can think of is overconfidence. Maybe it could be seen as negative.
Pride.
Pride.
I mean, that's what it seems like.
He's too proud.
That's the only reading I get from this summary, anyway.
He is very proud. Yeah, he doesn't even want to hang around with Link because he's like, I'm the legendary hero. You're just a kid. I'm off.
Right.
Very Groose-like.
Yeah.
Tis.
Actually, no, I can't even say unlike
these darn bird characters, man.
Because Groose,
even Rivali was all proud and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Groose had a pretty strong growth, but at the end of it, he still was making jokes like, "Oh yeah, like you see that crazy move I did out there." It's like, all right, guy.
There's still some hidden turns and churns in the story that you guys will come to. So get excited for next chapter.
Oh, and by the way, I like how I came to A4NB4Y's side to defend her as like, oh, she's only mad at Link for being all about Zelda because he's putting both of them in danger. But right here, Link saves Zelda, which is his entire purpose. That's what his journey is for. Like, part of it, at least. I mean, part of it is because he's a knight and he's got to kill Ganon and all that, but a lot of his motivation is coming from Zelda. So, of course, he rushes to her side as soon as she's finally in front of him and savable, and he can reach out and touch her. There's not a crystal in the way. And it infuriates A4NB4Y.
Right.
So, I can't stand up for you anymore, girl. You straight up jealous now. I'm sorry.
She just wants Link, yeah.
I can't defend this. You are jealous. It's the only reason you'd be infuriated by that.
Yeah, well,
I tried.
She's mad. All right, cool. Well, I mean, I think that's our content for tonight. You guys have anything else you want to talk about or add?
Go on down to Universal Studios in Orlando, Florida, and get yourself some Bernie Bott's beans. That's all. No, I don't got anything else.
All right. Well,
don't forget to clean your plumbus.
Check out C-Motionals if you get the chance.
Yeah.
So, I heard they're starting up some stuff real soon.
You guys want to go to a beach cleanup on June 27th? Anybody? No, I'm sorry, July 27th.
Better be July 27th. If you're advertising June 27th, these people aren't going to hear it until July.
No, it's July 27th.
Okay.
Is the beach in New York?
No.
Darn.
No.
Well,
I'm sure it's
all
dirty,
right.
but no.
So with that, we're going to go ahead and say our farewells. Thank you all for listening to A for No, B for Yes. Just one little news thing. We have a website now. So instead of putting all of our links in the description, which is something that I've actually neglected to actually put hyperlinks into, what you will find now is an actual link to our actual Wix website where you can actually find all of our social media links there, as well as our email link as well. So
Yeah.
if you want to reach out to us and contact us, there's a much more convenient way. It is linked to every episode. So go check that out. Check us out. You can actually listen to our podcast there as well if you weren't already doing that. And yeah, we will catch you on the next episode.
Catch you on the flip, y'all.
Did you get all that? Blimey, they have another Zenoga.